Let's get started.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining in. I am your host Utkarsh Shukla and welcome to the new episode of Professionals Unplugged. So let me introduce you to my guest, Rishabh. So Rishabh, first of all, thanks for joining in. And would you like
Thanks
to
for having me.
introduce? Yeah, thanks. Would you like to introduce yourself to our audience, like who you are, what you do generally? Like,
Yeah, definitely, Utkarsh. Thanks a lot for having me here. And so, talking about myself, I am Rishabh, and most people online they know me with the name Rishabh IO, even though my real name is Rishabh Sharma. And there's a long story about how, it ended up becoming Rishabh IO. But talking about myself, I think I have been a tech enthusiast ever since I was in grade three. That was for the first time that I was introduced to the computers. And fast forward to my BTech, I opted for BTech in EC, that is Electronics and Communication. And then the other fascination or other interest that I have was in programming. Like C was something which was taught to everybody in the college. And so I also learned it. But then there was a game which came during those days when I was doing the BTech. The name of this game was EA Sports Cricket. It was a 3D game, and I was quite fascinated by that game. And then there was another game, GTA San Andreas. You must have heard about it,
yeah,
GTA San Andreas or GTA Vice City. So they were very, very like fascinating. They were magical world to me during those days. So I went to my mentors, very curious about what kind of coding languages can be used to build such games. And they told me that I can either learn Java or I can learn C++. And that's where I would say the real journey with programming actually started. Like before that, I had done some basics in C language, but that is where the real journey as a programmer it started. And then I saw an interesting intersection of electronics and programming, and it was around IoT. Because in Internet of Things, you actually have to use programming, and then you have to interact a lot with the hardwares also. So
correct.
quite interestingly, like I would say, I was fortunate enough to actually work in that domain where I had to program the sensors, the program the microcontrollers and stuff. And I would say that it actually got me more and more into the field of programming. And today where I'm standing, I have actually worked in industry for more than 10 years, and I'm continuing that journey. I have been a technologist all through these years. I have touched upon diverse areas, and I think that has been the life so far, thinking about technology. I was like from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep.
That's great, Rishabh. Thanks so much for sharing your journey. So I think we forgot to mention what IO stands for. So because I think everyone will be watching this video, so it will be just put a light.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sure. So when I went on to buy my first domain, I think it was way back in 2015 or 2016. The first thing which came to my mind was Rishabh.com. It was not available at that time because somebody had already purchased it. So I thought that IO was quite, I would say it was trending in those days. It's still trending. IO seems to be one of the choices with a lot of tech people. A lot of tech companies have got that domain. And that's when I purchased Rishabh.io. And after that, because of SEO reasons, I had to actually change my Twitter username. I would say, then I built some Udemy courses there also. I kept it Rishabh.io. And finally, making that change on LinkedIn was quite, I would say, a courageous task because LinkedIn happens to be something which is very professional, right? So that was the last change which I made. I thought it's a great idea. And now the time has come when even my resume carries that name, Rishabh IO. If people specifically ask me what your real name is, I definitely tell them about it. But otherwise, this has now become a professional name. But the reason was purely SEO, nothing else. So it just came like that.
It has become a hit as well because now if I search Rishabh, it's so Rishabh IO in the state.
Yeah, because if you actually search Rishabh now, you will not find me on Google. You will find there are many other popular Rishabhs. So it's better to say that search Rishabh IO on Google, and that brings a full page full of Rishabh IO only. So that's a good thing.
Great, Rishabh. Thanks for sharing this.
Thank you.
So next question I would like to ask you. I have seen that you have a channel named FourOfour on YouTube, right? So where you are generally putting up tech videos, right, covering tutorials and all. So will you like to enlighten us on that as well? Like what is it all?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say that ever since my childhood, I have had contrarian thoughts. like, going against what is accepted norm. And if you, I believe most of the tech people, they would know that 404 in tech context, it means not found. So there is an error, right? It's basically an HTTP error. So whenever you search for a page on a website or a web application which is not available, then the error which comes out is called as 404, right? And that's where I decided, like, that's where me, along with a few other people, we decided that 404 can be that name which conveys that, which usually conveys that not found, but let's make something out of it, that it becomes a standard of finding something out. So we wanted to write tech articles, we wanted to build technology videos, and that's how 404 started, 404.org, and then the YouTube channel also started. So again, the same thing happened with YouTube also. We were not able to get the 404 handle when the YouTube website introduced handles, but the handle happens to be 404 ever, but the name of the channel is 404. So that's how like it turned up. So now we have actually completed more than 100 videos. We're talking about technology, a lot of different technologies actually. Started with primarily Python, but now we are slowly starting to move towards things like machine learning, generative AI, and other things like blockchain, because I believe, I have this strong belief that it's not technology that entertains people, but it's what we do with technology. I read it somewhere, and it has actually been in my mind ever since I read it somewhere. So I'm never thinking in a single dimension whenever I'm thinking about technology. It always has to be multidimensional. It's never a single technology which can change anything at all. So only when multiple things, they coincide or they intersect, that is where we find the solution to a given problem. So I'm always thinking in terms of problems and less in terms of technology.
I think that's a very true statement that you have just made. Like, it's we that are building the technology rather than technology being the one who's going to dominate. Right? So that's a great thought. So what's the future for 404 for you? Like, where you wanted to get it? Is there any goal?
That's an interesting question. So where do I want to see 404? Well, with 404, I think if I talk about the primary objective, it is more or less going to remain the same. That is to bring quality to EdTech, right? I mean, the start happens to be very small. We started with some YouTube videos, but the mission is to touch millions of lives with some quality EdTech content. And given the kind of technologies which are coming these days, for like, you can think about VR, think about AR, and then generative AI is actually going to completely change the VR and AR game also, is what we strongly believe, right? And the way we learn today, I think 10 years from now, it's going to completely change. People will be having immersive experiences to learn things. And I think it would be great if 404 can contribute something towards that kind of transformation. So that is what our vision for 404 is, that to be the part of that EdTech revolution which is about to happen in the coming years.
So it means like we are trying to cover the evolving technology and trying to provide an education on the same, right?
Exactly. So like the core idea is that we don't want to be limited to the 404 channel only. In the coming times, we would really love to bring the content which is more of a content which can be narrated in the story kind of a fashion. For example, you want to learn a programming language, let's say, taking a very simple example which the audience of today can relate with. So let's say you want to learn programming, you don't have to go to a website to watch the videos. I mean, imagine if there can be a game-like environment wherein you can actually solve certain challenges. And as I'm talking about it right now, the technology already exists. It's a matter of, making the use of that technology and bringing those experiences. So if you know that gaming has always dominated the tech world, it has always inspired the tech world, right? And EdTech is something which is a necessity. So on one side of the spectrum, we have something which people love in terms of experience. On the other side, we have got something which is a necessity. Everybody wants to get some kind of learning. Now, the idea is that if we can combine these two things together, we can amalgamate these two things. What is it that we can bring out? What kind of possibilities or what kind of potential is there? So we are in the direction to explore that. Would be, I think, a precise way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, making learning in the form of day-to-day activities or where people can get themselves involved rather than just
Exactly, where
reading
people
the
can
talks.
actually experience learning
Yeah,
rather than just making it a passive kind of an activity, making it an active kind of an activity
yeah.
where people can be involved in it, or learners can be involved in it.
I think that will be great thing because I think nowadays people are focusing more towards how they can improve the education by making them involved in these things so that it can remain in their memory for a longer period of time. So I think yeah, that's really a great thing to look
Yeah.
forward. So I think final question I would like to ask you is what will be your dream? I think I already got the answer for 404, but I think both of them can be correlated. But just to be curious, what's your dream?
That's again a very interesting question about like my dream. So I think over the years I have been trying to refine this thing. Like something like a dream, I don't think it can be a static variable in today's times, right? It keeps on evolving. I'll give you a very small example of it. So when I was, I would say, like around 15 years or so back, when I was doing my ninth or 10th, right? In those days, Nokia 6600 used to be a very popular phone. And in those days, it used to be a dream that, okay, once we grow up, once we start doing the job, we have to purchase this phone. Okay. But with the way technology evolves, right? And for people like me, whose lives are completely revolving around technology, I think that's the case with dreams also. But if I have to talk about that, what is it that is going to remain constant? I would say that the only thing which is going to remain constant is to keep working, to keep contributing to this industry, to evolve technology in one way or the other. So, like, whether it's, let's say, using a coding language or using a tool or using some kind of generative AI, the idea is that I have to keep contributing for as long as possible as a technologist. And I think that is what my dream is, to build, to help millions of people with the help of technology, to build great tools with the help of technology. Now, what exactly those tools are, I think that is something which really depends on how we evolve over the coming years. Yep.
That's great. I think right now you're focusing on 404 for the same, where we can see the
Exactly.
evolvement.
Yeah,
And
I'm focusing a lot on 404 to build tech content. And of course, like other than primarily working on channel, working on a lot of different tools, also part of different groups where people are building different things. So I keep on getting inspired from a lot of people whom I talk to. And but yeah, as you mentioned, that 404 happens to be one of the primary focus, where we are building certain tools, we are building content around the same, like the core idea of edtech.
thanks, Rishabh. I think that's a great answer. Like mainly focusing on educating people with the evolving technology and on the evolving things. Like, in short.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
And I mean, trying to basically overcome the limitations which are there with the current systems, or I would say with the traditional systems of learning. So to try to cater a wider audience, like not only for individuals but also for professionals. Yeah, so building tools around that, trying to pick up as many people as we can in a way.
That's great, Rishabh. Thanks so much. So if anyone have any questions or anything to ask to you, they can reach out to you on LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, anytime. Like a lot of people, they already reach out. I think most of the times on my weekends, I do have calls with people. So I'm always willing. We do have a Discord server. Then there are WhatsApp groups. Like people can reach out to me in any way they want to.
So on Discord it's 404 and on LinkedIn it's Rishabh IO, right?
Yeah. On LinkedIn, it happens to be Rishabh IO. We do have a company page as well, but
Okay.
it's better to reach me in person on Rishabh IO. And Discord server is, I think, mostly available with all the YouTube videos which we are releasing.
That's great, Rishabh. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for joining me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Utkarsh, for having me. I think it was great talking to you. Thanks a lot for this platform, doing a great job. So I wish you a great luck with this channel and hope to see you again.
Thanks, Rishabh. Thank you.